Black people, we have a lot of thoughts that go in our head, especially when it comes to white people. Like, why does your dog sleep in your bed? Why do y'all happen to smell like dog? Why do y'all happen to leave the house without socks on? No lotion. Yo, what do black people think about white people? That talking. Let's get straight to the video.
School that was predominantly black when I was growing up. And when I first saw the first white kid, I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying?
What is that is actually crazy. Damn, they got some characters on here. If these characters start acting crazy, I'm done.
I act differently around people who aren't my race. 3, 2, 1.
I think the most important thing is just
It's true.
authentically be yourself, and I don't think being around people who don't look like you should be a reason for you to act any different.
Yeah, for me, I guess it's like within the confines of like the workforce.
I was thinking code switching.
Because if you show up to a meeting talking like this, they're like, uneducated, got it. They'll use the slang to sell the products and to tweet and to get the clicks and stuff, but like as soon as a worker's there who's authentically from the area and talking like people from the area, it's like, ooh, we don't like that. You know, because it's always like, well, be yourself until you yourself. And then it's like, ooh, I don't like yourself. Unfortunately, in a lot of the areas of work, it's like you almost have to like lie to these people to be like, I'm a robot. I'll like, you know, I love your company.
Yeah.
Why did bro do that, bro? Well, there's no need for that.
You know, it's sick. It's sick. But it's like, you have to do, you know.
True. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like.
Bro, why you
code switching
moving
is
like that? I
one
think,
part,
you know
but
what I'm
also,
saying?
like, there's certain parts in my own community
Damn, she's
that
fine.
aren't accepted, that when I'm around different people that look like me, I can express myself differently. Like, I feel like if I talk a little proper, sometimes I get a little slack for it from my side of the family. But when I go out into the world, sometimes I like EDC, I like tech music, I like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
For me, I feel like it has nothing to do with race. It more has to do with just being professional. Like if I'm at work, then I'm obviously going to be a little more proper, you know, a little bit less slang and all of that, and just more careful with my rhetoric, but I don't think it has to do with race. The only thing I will say is, like, I work in political media, so I'm on
What the
camera
hell is
a
political
lot,
media?
So people already know who I am and what I'm coming with. But that being said, it's like when I'm around other black people, because I'm a Republican, sometimes they tend to be really standoffish with me or think that I don't understand the culture and all this different stuff. So sometimes I have to feel it out, like, are these people who are just gonna call me an Uncle Tom, or are these people like I can actually just keep it all the way real with?
Bro got a little zest to him. It's all right. I'm noticing.
So that's
I'm
the only
picking up.
time I feel like I act different because of race.
You know, I also work in political media, but as a leftist, and I honestly feel like I've definitely benefited from being able to be in spaces where I've been able to be authentic.
Damn, there's a lot of
myself, and I
characters,
definitely
bro.
think I'm privileged,
Shit.
Especially where I like grew up is just like something that's regularly happening that people have to go through. But personally, I think I've been able to, especially now in a business side and now my
I ain't gonna lie, I like that hat.
place. I feel like I don't have to
I'ma need
adapt
them,
my
I'ma take
language
it.
to make people like respect me or understand where I'm
much?
trying to come from. You know.
Okay.
At what point is it like, damn, we can't even really have conversations without buttoning up and being like, oh, this is how we have to talk like this, because so they'll listen, or like regard us as
But do you
people.
think that's racial, or do you think that's
I
just...
think, I don't know that it's, because I'm right, I know where you're going.
We've seen you.
I know, I think, you know, I know exactly where it's going.
Okay.
I don't think it's intrinsically
picking up.
rooted in race, but I think just the way the social genetic makeup of people are.
Damn, they using them buzzwords.
By way of people of specific races speaking a certain way or being perceived a certain way, it tends to be more often than not rooted in race, based off of like urban Black Americans.
Yeah.
I think
Okay, I'm
most
picking up.
people have barriers they put up when they get introduced to a new group. I went on disagree instead of strongly disagree because like there have been situations.
Ain't that guy
where
a gay?
they introduced to a group of
He's gay.
one of a different-
I think it don't matter, but I just remember him from one of the Gaydar videos. I remember those.
race.
I be starting to remember these characters.
And like, yeah, at first I'm pulled back, but once I get comfortable with them, those walls come down, and then yeah, that's where my true self comes out.
For me, it really depends because I've been shooting music videos in the hood, so I really need to basically adopt myself to become a black person. So for me, it's not a problem like meeting new races. I always like vibe and chill with people.
Do you think adapting yourself to those different ethnicities is like something that's required to foster like a successful relationship?
Like, I would say it's really more for your survival, because
Survival?
like if you are the only white guy on set, and like there's like people with like guns and stuff, and you just really need to like fit in and just be chill.
You're chatting. You're chatting. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Let's read some business real quick. I don't know what he's talking about, because let's be honest here. No random hood nigga is going to just randomly, especially in like this music video kind of scenario, from my knowledge, right? I don't think they just gonna shoot your dumb ass. You know what I'm saying? Especially saying if you're white, they know they gonna get life, bro. Y'all are like prized possessions in society. So like for y'all to get attacked, it's done for. You might as well take a ship to Mexico, bro. You might as well go live with Tupac, bro, in Cuba. Cause that's literally gonna be your life, bro. You don't like, I see it as corny if you're white trying to be like, yo, what's good, gang? Yo, what's good, my? I feel like black people as a whole, we accept authenticity. You see what I'm saying? Me personally, I'm more likely to be friends with the, oh, what's up, pal? Oh, well, pal, nerdy white guy than the, yo, what's good, brody? What's good, brody? What's good, homie? What's good, homie? You see what I'm saying? White guy who trying to act like he in the scenario or surrounded by black people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, we keeping it a buck, one person's being authentic to themselves, bro. One person's being authentic. What are you to change for, bro? Why do you need to fit in with the lessers if you're a more?
With it?
You're from the Ukraine, right? Do you feel like not having grown up with American culture as a whole, and then especially not growing up with our subcultures, do you feel like that's influenced the way you move when you're moving between our subcultures?
My like mentality is kind of mixed, because like from the age of like 13, I really started to learn English. From that, I really learned a lot. Like I really got the American like mentality more. And basically like my mentality is like mixed, because like in Ukraine, if we see a black person, we call them the N-word. And from our side, it's not
Tweaking. I knew this was tweaking, bro. I knew this nigga was tweaking. That's why y'all.
not offensive. Like we say it not from a offensive way, but some people can, because like you don't see a black person there.
I can understand that, because I went to a school that was predominantly black when I was growing up. And when I first saw the first white kid, I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was a white girl with like red hair, and I was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. You know what I'm saying? So like, I understand that, like, when a white person comes to a predominantly black group, then you're going to try your best to adapt to our culture, to be like, okay, hey, I get along with you. This is my way of like telling you, like, hey, I'm like extending an olive branch, basically. So yeah.
Personally, not to sound triggered, but I just don't like the notion that you're becoming a black person by pretending to be hood or adopting a hood.
Exactly, that's weird.
Not all black people are hood, not all black people are ghetto. I understand what you're trying to say, and I don't know if it's a language barrier, so I don't want to like come at you like you're saying something racist, but I just really am anti-black people being defined as ghetto and hood, because there's a lot of class black people out there.
Yes, there's a lot of intelligent Afro-Americans out there, and it really like depends on like where you grew up in.
Also,
Bro said I like that's a
if you are
minority.
hood and ghetto like me, you can also be all those things too.
White people also experience race-based prejudice.
Since you guys probably don't know, I have lived overseas. I've lived in Asian countries. In Japan, there are certain restaurants and stuff like that that you could walk into. You can see people dining in the restaurant, and they're gonna tell you they're closed.
Bro, I don't think you understand. Traveling as black is over 100 times % more worse than as a white person. I'm so serious. You can get into more places as white than you are black. Let's keep it a buck. What do I look like traveling to Europe? Like, you see, you know what I'm saying, Brody in the back, I'm just gonna get hurled slurs. I don't want that for me. I love me. You know what I'm saying? I want to respect myself too. I'm not doing that.
Just because you're white. Or
Chatting.
So the idea that white people can't really experience racism kind of contradicts the very definition of the word, because the definition of racism is prejudice based on one's skin color. White people do experience it, but to a different degree.
While I do think that our white brothers and sisters in Christ can experience racial-based prejudice, I don't want to overlook the nuance of that prejudice.
Okay.
Because it's not necessarily rooted in anything systematic or anything that's gonna actually have long-term effects, knock on wood, that are gonna like debilitate a race or inhibit their chances or possibility of succeeding or being seen as better than POC.
Okay.
I definitely think it's a non-issue, racism towards white people, especially specifically, I want to, like, in America. I don't think it's something that needs to be highlighted as an issue that is a constant threat to lives, day-to-day well-being, progress and success in life in general, because it's not something that's going to inhibit you, and you don't have to walk out your door and think, I'm about to be attacked, like people of color do every single day.
I do agree that white people haven't been put through centuries of hell like black people were, but prejudice towards white people 100% exists. Like whether it's in TV, if it's in movies, like if you watch predominantly black media, there's a lot of roasting towards white people that if it was the other way around, that would never be acceptable today. Then you go on social media like TikTok and you look up, white people are bad. You will see videos where they're attacking white people for things that their ancestors did 200 years ago. There are societal benefits at this point for being a person of color, and that those negatively affect white people. Like if you look at affirmative action, diversity quotas in the workplace, all these different things, they lower the bar for black people, but then increase the bar for white people. However, I think where some of the issue comes is because a lot of marginalized groups and people of color back in the day went through so much worse that it's easy for us to discredit the prejudice that white people now deal with today.
I think like on an individualistic level, like yeah, white people get hate all the time. But I think if you zoom out and you look at the big picture, it's a little bit different. And like talking about like YouTube having, you know, racist content for anyone out there, it's like I would have to go and seek that out versus it like coming to
you. Okay.
Versus like on Twitter.
Against white people?
Yeah, I would have to like look for a video being like, oh, people who hate white people.
I agree.
Like versus like Twitter, I don't have to scroll very long before I see some person making some out-of-pocket comment about
and regulation being lifted so people can see that even more so.
Right.
Absolutely, that's 100% right. And even saying
I'm seeing a
affirmative
vision.
action, statistically and on paper, white people, white women were benefiting more from affirmative action at colleges than any other demographic. So I also don't think that's fair to say, but I definitely get what you mean. And again, I think the prejudice is still there though.
And I will say that black people do deal with prejudice. I think every demographic deals with prejudice. There are racist people everywhere. Like I just don't think systemic racism is an issue anymore in today's society, but I do think that there are
interesting take, very interesting take.
Racist people out there.
I think that there's a really important distinction. Our language is constantly evolving, and you were talking about the definition of racism. Our societal definition has changed to include a systemic part of it. And I completely disagree with this idea that people of color don't have systemic things against them still. Because the fact that we still have the KKK, the fact that we still have these things, and they are in positions of power. As long as that exists,
I'm seeing the
and
vision.
as long as that's a part of our country's like makeup right now, which it is, and that's our power structure, I don't feel like you can honestly deny systemic racism against the black community, which is why prejudice is so different from racism. I don't think white people can experience racism in this country, but we can experience prejudice based on the societal definitions we now use.
Being
I see the vision. I see the vision. She's smart.
Attracted to a race is racist.
I think where the line gets drawn is when if a white male was sitting there swiping and he's just like, I don't like black girls, they're all ugly. They have too big of lips. I think that's where the line gets drawn.
See, right there, you have to give an example. You didn't have to do that. Sister right here don't got big lips. Why you had to do that?
But you can't really help what you're attracted to. Like my fiance is Mexican, and it's like I like him for who he is, not how he looks.
I think that we are conditioned to be attracted and to respond to people that we grow up and around with. So homogeneously, we grow up with people who look like us. So when you move into dating and things like that, statistically, you're going to be attracted to people that you grew up seeing, right? However, when you are discrediting a certain race for whatever reason based off their ethnicity, meaning everybody who did exist, is existing, and will exist from that race, you are not feeling anything. Cute, I don't control your body or your thoughts, but on one hand, I'm like, let's maybe unpack that. Also, where's my camera? To all the girls that's putting this in their bios, that's none of our business. Stop doing that. Keep that to yourself.
What?
We don't want to hear that.
For
What?
me, I think
What'd I
that
do?
we're talking about conditioning and how we grew up, right? If you go to like South Africa, for instance, which within some of our lifetimes had apartheid, if you grow up in that, especially as a black person, where you're constantly being mistreated by every single white person, and you're conditioned to be like, white person, no thank you, I don't think that's racist.
I agree, and I did not grow up in South Africa with apartheid.
Yeah.
However, like I said,
used
the
an
nickname
extreme.
of my town was Clancy. Like a lot of my interactions growing up
Okay.
were incredibly racist, and I'm dating a white guy. So I totally get what you mean. I don't want to discredit black people or anyone who's had those kind of situations because it's
I
not that
see it.
they're not dating white people. It's
Yeah.
definitely, it's more like they're cautious.
I think you used the perfect word earlier. Is it conditioned or?
I was thinking about it on the terms of me being a black woman. I feel like it's a lot different
Oh,
than it is
for sure.
a black woman going into dating someone that is not of their race. I can tell you from my experience with dating Hispanic men, white, whatever, they've only seen Jerry Springer and Maury.
Damn,
it's
so that
they
puts you a
have
bad
whole
image
different
of y'all.
idea of what a black woman is. Like before my
I tell y'all, bro, black women have they have the worst representation, and it's sad because it's like it's not even their fault though. You know what I'm saying?
husband changed a lot. One of the comments made to me was he was afraid of me going to his house with braids in my hair because then they would assume that I was a different kind of girl instead of looking at me for who I am.
I have been denied access because of my race.
I can go anywhere, I can sit down anywhere, and I am not going
What?
to be denied because of how I look. And I would be ignorant to not admit that.
And I'm gonna counter that with we are justifiably not let into spaces. And our whiteness takes away access to things like powwows. And there's an island in Hawaii that's only for natives or for like safe spaces for black communities or whatever else. We are justifiably denied access because of our skin.
Period. We love the nuance.
The thing about Hawaii, though,
Yeah.
Hawaii is stolen land. I believe that they have every right to be able to say only we're allowed to go here because that
Justifiably.
was theirs. It was literally
Okay.
stolen land that was stolen by white people.
Yes. No, but that's why it's justifiably, it's still denied access.
Yeah.
But it is justifiable, 100%. Don't
Yeah,
let me
it's
in.
denied access, but it's justifiable. But it's like,
Nah, she too animated. She too animated. You know what I'm saying? She too animated. I'm kind of feeling you. Not really. Let me stop lying.
in my own day-to-day life, I could go anywhere. I can sit down anywhere. I can go read a book in a library. I can go to Starbucks. People don't fear me because of how I look, and so they don't feel the need to be like, you can't be here.
But like in your day-to-day life, are you being denied access? Like, are you trying to go to that island that they
No.
won't let you? Okay.
Then I think that's a really good question.
Like,
Has it happened? I guess. Because, like,
would
are you
say
seeking
yeah.
those spaces then?
I'm not necessarily seeking them. If I am already aware that this is like, hey, this is for us, not for you. I'm not gonna show up and be like, yeah, but like, I'm a cool white person. But there are
this is-
spaces that we are not allowed.
Nah,
and I
she
think that's
hella
okay.
animated,
No,
bro.
it is okay. But if you're not actively seeking to be part of those circles, you're not being denied access to them.
I will agree with that.
Sure, and I can say that maybe those are not the best examples, but like I think especially because my social circles are predominantly people of color, there are definitely things.
I can tell. You acting very, you know what I'm saying? You acting like you hang out with a lot of sisters. You know what I'm saying? You just, the way you moving, you just feel very animated. I like it. Not really.
like where I've had them be like, this is not a conversation for you, and I'm like, okay. I have had those experiences. I'm okay with them. I want to be clear. Like, I think there should be spaces that aren't for me, and that is okay. But they've existed and they've been in my life.
I have just one really specific example. Otherwise, I feel like in general, I'm not denied access because of my race, just in my experience. But I had an ex whose stepfather was wildly racist, like Nazi memorabilia, like just insane individual.
wow. Oh my
and I was never allowed over her house because of him. And the one time that I kind of snuck in, he was staring at me through the window. And I'll never forget that in my life, the way that man was staring at me through the window and then cursed out his kids for having me in the house. That man's now in prison for doing God knows what.
Oh,
But,
wow.
it's where he belongs.
I was looking
Nazi?
for funding for my film, and most of them are for colored people, and I totally understand that. And there is like not many that I found that are for like everybody. My mind would be like, you know, damn, I cannot do it. Like I cannot apply to it. But from the other side, I understand that the Black community, like you guys need to get your movies out there.
If anything, I feel like I've been invited too much. You know, I feel like I'm
real.
kind of like an undercover agent where I'm
Yeah.
like because I talk a certain way or because
Yeah.
I present myself a certain way, they assume like, oh, I could say this in front of you.
100%.
And I'm like, what do you say?
Exactly.
You know, I've never really been.
That's true. They just get too comfortable and just start saying anything. You're just gonna hit there and they're gonna be like, yo, what's good? And then they just start playing the game and then they just gonna hit you with the grr. Now what you gonna do if you get hit with the grr? That's not a word you want to get hit with. That really hits the soul. Like, guh, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Not really, but like, grr, nah, bro, there's some hatred behind that, bro.
Say that too. I've been tokenized so many times.
I don't want
like
that,
we have
right?
to have you here. We need young black representation. And I'm like, yes, I'm gonna stay home.
I am proud of my race.
Oh, wow.
3, 2, 1.
Say disagree?
I will go first, and I will stand 10 toes in.
I was just being ironic to
I
stand over
think-
there.
Okay, baby. I cried a little bit.
I was
I
being
think
messy.
that, like, and I'll just keep it specific to my experience of what I know. As Black Americans, we're pretty much the top culture that gets replicated, referenced.
Poof,
People
facts.
scoot in, scoot out because they want to seem cool and interesting and stuff. And I think that that's so kind of us to like kind of like be beaten down for so long and be kind of separated from our African roots, create names for ourselves, culture, language around our identities as Black Americans and have that be a thing that's just reverberating across the globe. I think that's so cute, can never be replicated, can never be understated, and I love that about it.
That was kind of the start of
It's a
my
good
thought process too. Like, just the base.
Well, you gotta think about it though. Everybody tries to copy black people, but they don't like us. They like us from afar, but they don't like us up close, and that's a real deal.
Process of being torn down so adamantly, so regularly for hundreds of years in law, even like it is insane that we
You
are
a
here
lawyer?
today to even be on camera, to even be in a
I ain't gonna lie.
place with other white people. Like it is.
If this was my lawyer, bro, I'm done. I'm getting life. I might just jump the judge, bro. I'm sorry. I'm done for. I'm screwed. This is my. I just don't feel like no. I'm sorry. Seem like your vernacular is just like you just read the dictionary 2 times a day. You're reading the dictionary more than the Bible. Why? Why are you doing that, man? Read the right words.
A beautiful thing that we have been able to flourish in such dirt, like literal filth and grime that our ancestors had to go through, and even our grandparents had to go through. Like in my 8th grade yearbook I saw recently, it said like the South will rise again. Like, and this was 2015. So like this is such a day-to-day thing, and I am proud to be Black, and it's hard to say that. Like it was hard to say that as a kid, like, or else I could be called the N-word, I could be reprimanded, and I feel so blessed to be able to think that.
Everybody needs to be proud of their race and stop this like racist bullshit, because like you could be green.
I don't know if I should really take bro's opinion, bro. He foreign. He don't really understand like he don't really have a good grasp of the race dynamic that happens here in America, but it's okay.
Green, red, black, white, Hispanic, like it doesn't matter.
I agree with like what you're saying, because my own personal belief is that at the basis of who we are is that we're all just people. We're not a
Facts.
skin tone. But because of those before me, I now have to fight back against the idea that all white people are racist. I remember being in 4th grade and learning about the Holocaust for the first time and saying, I don't want to be German anymore. Meanwhile, my mother's whole family is German. American history, you look at things like slavery, you look at things like Jim Crow laws, segregation. There is so much awful stuff that has happened and is still happening in closeted ways that I cannot be proud of the way that I look.
Yeah, for me, like,
I
I
understand.
am proud of who I am, like who I grew up to be, like I like who I am. But like, if I were to say I'm a proud white man, like I don't even know what that means. Like, there have been 0 racial hurdles in my life. Now, like, I'm a proud gay man because like I've had to go through shit to get to where I am now. And you know, even to that point, so much of queer culture comes from Black culture, so thank you.
Say, hey, even props where props is due, real
I'm
shit.
proud of the things I've done, the people who I've touched, whose hearts I've opened up. I feel like it's beyond our race. I feel like what it
like
is
Caitlin.
our experiences that make
Like
our
her.
light shine through. So that's what I'm proud of, actually. Yeah.
I think that there's a really big difference between being proud to be Black and being proud to be white. So being proud of your culture, beautiful thing. Like be proud to be Ukrainian. I'm proud to be Slavic. The Black community is different, and the reason it's different is because their culture, specifically Black Americans, their culture was stripped away from them when they were brought over here. So then the culture became being Black American. The race became cultural.
I mixed that up.
So
Sorry about the hate.
yeah, but so I
I
think
told you,
that
bro.
there's
You gotta ignore the foreign nigga. You see what I'm saying? He don't know what he's talking about. You see what I'm saying? I'm glad you're here. We love you. You see what I'm saying? I love what you're doing, bro. Keep making them hood movies, bro. We appreciate you, but you don't know what you're talking about, which is fine, bro. It's okay.
big difference between like I am proud of my people are Slavic versus I am proud of my race. It just gets convoluted because Black Americans, the race has become the culture because the culture was stripped away.
I also think oftentimes when you talk about white pride versus black pride, oftentimes black pride is rooted in like love and like perseverance of like culture, customs, language, and things like that. And white pride is often rooted in like black hate, Latin
Facts.
hate,
Facts.
Asian hate. So I think that's like an interesting
division.
nuance to
Okay.
not overlook.
No, and I think that's such an important point. I think there's a difference between like I'm proud and therefore I'm better versus I am proud of what we have overcome.
Yeah, and then the whole
Oh
idea.
my gosh, she's so smart. Oh my gosh, she's so smart, bro. She moves so elegantly. I like that.
White pride started with people who think the Confederate flag is a personality trait. So how can I be proud of that?
I'm not saying that this applies to any of you, but I meet a lot of white people, particularly white liberals, who will actively say that they're ashamed of being white. And that is wild to me because how can you look at your past and because, yes, your race did terrible things in the past, but you shouldn't define yourself as that. If anything, you should look at that and reflect.
So do you think white people should be proud to be specifically white?
See, I think that's a really nuanced question when you're white because I think you guys had the valid point of ethnicity is different because like white isn't a collective culture in the way that black is because black people have been grouped together and have a similar experience. But like white, like Italian American, you should definitely be proud of being Italian American. You should be proud of being Slavic American. You should be proud of your lineage. But just to say, oh, I'm proud to be white, like yeah, that has a weird connotation to it because it's not a collective culture. But what I really want to emphasize is that you should not be ashamed.
What was this? What was this? Like, I get you? Nose off? The hell? What kind of secret Black Panther coach you got going on, bro? I ain't never seen that before.
Of being white in the way that a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Or maybe you should.
Okay.
You probably
At that point, it's on you.
Great people, bro. Great people. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. I talk and I joke a lot. You see what I'm saying? So don't take none of it personal. If you did, maybe don't subscribe. I may not need you around here. But yo, it's your boy Kiddabsolute, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.